Welcome back. It's still Essential, where we bring you the best of entertainment conversations from around the world. And today, I said we're going to be having an interesting conversation for all you comedy lovers. Yeah, funny people and the comedy business enthusiasts. Now, comedy has long been a powerful tool to the entertainment and social commentary and even pushing boundaries. However, in an era where humor can quickly spark a backlash, the fine line between comedy and controversy has been more debated. Now, while some argue that comedy should be fearless and unrestricted, others believe that certain jokes cross ethical and cultural boundaries, causing harm rather than laughter. So, where do we draw the line? Should comedians have complete freedom to joke about anything? Or does responsibility come with their influence? Now, joining me today on the show to discuss comedy and controversy and knowing where to draw the line is a fast-rising Nigerian comedian, H. Prince. H. Prince, how you doing? Good afternoon.
Hello.
All right, H. Prince, it's good to have you. It's good to have you with me today. I believe you can hear me loud and clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right into it quickly because of time. So in your opinion, what is the purpose of comedy? Should it challenge societal norms, or are there limits to what can be joked about? Let me hear from you as someone who is a comedian.
All right, so I'll start by helping you ask your question very well.
Okay.
So we are talking about stand-up comedy, not just comedy.
Yes.
So I think that's where we have a problem. Comedy and stand-up comedy, there's a fine line, and I would explain. Comedy, the purpose of comedy is to entertain, is to educate, is to inform. Or I'll say maybe comedy, no, the purpose of comedy is just entertain. Let's put it that way, make people laugh, right?
Okay.
Spark laughter. But stand-up comedy takes it a notch higher. Stand-up comedy is not just to entertain, it's to inform, it's to educate, and to impact, right? So the reason why it's called stand-up comedy is not just because you stand and crack the jokes. It's because the jokes are coming from it has depth, right?
Yeah.
So every stand-up comedian is also a social commentator.
Okay.
So when you see, so let's not just say comedy. When you say comedy, I mean, we are going to be adding clownery, people who do. We are talking about stand-up here. A stand-up comedian is not just somebody who wants to make you laugh. This is somebody that tries to paint, humor through trying to paint issues through humor and make you see the light.
Okay, so H. Prince, I'll take you up on what you just said, because the reason why I chose the term comedy, because we're looking at a larger and a broader scale. Aside stand-up comedy, we have people right now. Social media has taken over a lot, and skit making is also a form of comedy that has been welcomed in this part of the world, and we also know how much influence that has on society as well. So let's try and put everything together. I understand what you're trying to do to differentiate what stand-up comedy is and the other ones, but let's try and put everything together. The fact that this is a responsibility for people who make, like you said, serious issues, they make light of serious issues. However, have you ever found a joke or an expression, a comic expression, as offensive? And if so, what made it cross the line for you? Someone that, okay, maybe you were watching something or you heard someone say something. What made it cross the line for you? Why do you think the person went too far?
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question like this. So there are two flashpoints.
Okay.
There are two flashpoints to this question. One is from the angle of an artist.
Okay.
And two, from the angle of a comedian. From the angle of a Nigerian.
All right.
So, as an artist, which I am, I believe that you are not in control of how the ideas come to you. You're only in control of how you convey it, right?
Okay.
Conveyance.
Okay.
You are not in control of how the ideas come to you, right? Because if you're an artist, the real artists really don't have boundaries. Art does not have boundaries, right? You can think of anything, you can make something out of anything. So that's from the angle of an artist, right? But from an angle of a Nigerian who is also an artist, I know that our people are sensitive, and by the special grace of God, I've spent 10 years in this in this business, and I can tell you for a fact that one of the mistakes I think comedians are making is that they are trying to reiterate what happens in the Western world here. You know, there's the culture, that's the stand-up comedy culture.
Yes.
And there's also the culture of our people. And if you're a very good businessman or someone who, a very good sociologist, you have to know that whatever thing you are doing, you have to take note, you have to take cognizance of your environment.
Okay.
And the environment is what informs the culture. So, for example, it might be okay to do some certain kind of jokes in some other clans, but Nigerians will find it offensive. However, if you're a very good writer, and you are skilled at putting your words together and you can talk about anything and still not offend anybody.
Okay.
It's very possible.
Yes.
Yes, it's very possible. Myself, I mean, people who are watching now will know that it looks like I'm the wrongest person to talk about, because I tell jokes about everything. There's nothing that I cannot tell a joke about. I've told jokes about death. I've told jokes about when my mother died. I've told jokes about it. I've told jokes about my dad. Everything. But this is it, yeah. If you want to do dark humor, or because that's the part of comedy that gets on people's nerves.
Dark
humor, provocative comedy, and deadpan, all those stuff. If you want to venture into that, you have to be very skilled at writing in this part of the world so that you don't get into trouble. You have to be very skilled at your writing. You can do jokes about anything, but there's a way. It's just like how you know this thing that they say when you're angry with someone.
Yes.
There's a certain way the person would approach the person. The person will listen.
Yes.
And another person will come and approach that same person, and that person will not listen. So it's all about the approach. It's not like there's nothing you can talk about everything, but it's the approach.
Okay.
And I need stand-up comedians and comedians in general in this part of the world to know that our people are very sensitive.
Okay, great. H Prince, I had to cut you there because you said something that caught my attention. You were speaking about you need to be very aware of your environment and the society you're in. So do you think comedians should be held accountable for controversial jokes? Should the audience simply choose what they consume? Do you think, okay, that comedian is on stage, he likes to abuse people a lot when he's doing a stand-up, or he likes to pick on people a lot, or he likes to say things that are provocative? Do you think comedians should be held accountable for these things when they do that?
When you say held accountable, I want to understand you. Can you contextualize it, please?
Okay. In other words, should they be held accountable to their words? There are some things you said a comedian has the luxury or to be able to joke with anything, but in our society that has to this kind of society, like you said, we're very concerned about morals and things like that. So what do you think about a comedian who talks about maybe a societal issue or that is very sensitive, and people would say, is it okay for people to come at the comedian to say, no, you shouldn't be talking about that. This is too sensitive for you to speak of at this time. And the people who are really involved or affected don't feel good about it. Do you think comedians should be held responsible for things like that?
Of course. I mean, criticisms are criticism is part of life. It's part of anything you do. Even if you do, one of the things I found out about life in general is, even if you try to play safe, you will still offend people. Even if you think you are not doing it this other way. Some people, and let's be frank, somebody has to bear the brunt of a joke. A joke is always on someone.
A joke is always on someone.
Think about it. A joke is always on someone. And again, because of the kind of society we find ourselves, comedians try to, tell jokes about things that are happening, because let me tell you something, Edewo. If you say something that is funny, and everybody is laughing, should I tell you the reason why everybody is laughing to that thing?
Why?
It's because there's an atom of truth in it.
Okay. H-Prince, I would have to cut this conversation here because of time, but I wish we had more time to hammer on this. But definitely we're going to bring you back so that you can help us, clarify some things you said. Because a lot of people don't think that a comedian has a right to joke with anything. They say that there are boundaries to these things. If you talk about a certain thing, yes, it's fine, but there are some things that should not just be crossed. But definitely we would have you back again to talk about this, but because of time, we have to go. Thank you very much, H-Prince, for this short conversation, but definitely I'll try my best to bring you back again same time next week to have this conversation again.